Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Performance Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Will Fleming. On the other line is Coach Dose. What's up?
What's up, buddy?
How are you, man?
Another day.
Yeah.
I'm good. Another podcast.
We
We're 3 in a
have
row.
reached the winning streak, just like Major League.
This is official now.
Yeah, that's great. Good for us. So,
Right on,
anything
right on.
new going on your end?
No, we just started school, so it's been a pretty hectic week. Classes, get everybody in. And
What are you teaching this year?
I got a couple of advanced weight training classes that are interesting.
Really?
You know? So, yeah, just trying to, like yesterday, we went through and kind of taught activation and foam rolling and squatting and hinging.
Is it like lab-based kind of idea, like in the weight room, or?
Yeah, it's all weight room
Okay,
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we kind of teach different tools. They're going to go through the movement categories with them.
Cool.
There's some meatheads that want to go and lift heavy
You
stuff
want to
right
win
away.
class?
Yeah, but it's not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen.
So what's going on over there? Everything's cool?
Yeah, everything's cool. Can't think of anything new. I've been starting to get back to training again. I'm gonna do a meet at the end of the year. So that's kind of cool. And then if I think you saw on my Instagram, I've been working on a pair of weightlifting shoes with a company.
I
So
saw that.
yeah, we've been
They feel pretty good, huh?
yeah, here they're right here, right there.
They look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole concept was to get a high performing shoe that had a wood heel on it again. Which
Well, the wood heel thing is a cost thing, right? Isn't that?
Yeah.
Doesn't that cost a lot?
No, I'm sure if you talk to an engineer, and most engineers would say like a really durable plastic is probably going to be a better platform. So probably cost is lower on a plastic. An engineer would maybe say performance is higher. But there's a nostalgia factor with like a wood heel that makes it pretty popular, right? Something that I wanted again, just the way the shoe feels. So we're in the we've been designing it for about a year. This is the first prototype sample. Hopefully we can get like orders out before Christmas. So kind of cool.
Where are they based out of?
They're a company. It's called Velasa, and they're in Minnesota. And it's a former competitor of mine from my track and field days. And he was a track coach and kind of had this idea that he wanted to start making like custom shoes, in particular like a track throwing shoe, a long jump spike, a sprinting spike, and a weightlifting shoe. And so the weightlifting shoe, he hit me up first, so it got developed the fastest. So, but he signed Joe Kovacs, who was silver medal at the World Championships, silver medal at the Olympics last year, world champion 2 years ago. So a really good shot putter, and so. They're kind of lining up that strength sport side stuff first.
Yeah. Could blow up.
Well, it could, or it could be.
Or it could blow up.
Yeah, or it could blow up. So
I think it's cool because they look so different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the heel's so pronounced when it's wood.
Yeah, on a black shoe, right?
Yeah, I don't think people realize that heel sometimes.
Yeah,
it's there,
exactly.
you know?
So it's cool. It's different. There's not a wood heel that is on a shoe that looks like really athletic looking too, right? You know, they tend to look like bowling shoes. So
right.
So it'll be different, and we've had a really cool response so far. So they're holding up. They're high performing. So I'm excited about it. This segment is brought to you by Velasa.
Do you have any of your other lifters in them, or just
No? This is actually the only pair in existence in the world right now. So this is literally the prototype, and that whole process is like prototype, and then these things called like a confirmation sample. So they'll do, 20 to 50 pairs or something like that. Get them on different people just to double check to make sure everything's okay. And like even on this prototype, there's a couple things that we've already decided we're going to change, right? Just like. The location of this or how this fits on it. So just little things. It's not going to change the whole shoe, but just little things you can maybe make it a little better, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right on. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's been going on. Been training, and so excited. Hopefully compete before the end of the year, and then we got the baby cut on the way in February. So I'm going to hang it up. I'm hanging it up for a while.
Really?
Yeah, for a while.
I was gonna say, geez.
Yeah.
You still got to. What was the oldest competitor that
I'm
you
not
had
doing
your
that.
Masters?
I'm not doing it. I'm not.
You're going to be the guy,
85.
75-year-old guy.
It's a lockout. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, so that's going on. So today our topic, we wanted to We wanted to go back. We talked about this a little bit, maybe on the second episode. I think it was the second or third episode. It was like just strength.
We definitely hit on it. Yeah, we've hit on it a little bit.
And so
what is strength?
What is strength? What's appropriate strength? How do you get strong? All that kind of stuff. Because I think people have gotten away from that. Like the pendulum has swung. The people are either on the side
like it always does.
only strength, because powerlifting I feel like is really big. Weightlifting's bigger than it ever has been, but they're still small sports as compared to anything else. But then there's still people in the weight room claiming this is how you get strong, but it's not. So
or setting
unrealistic.
Fairy tale like standards.
Yeah, because with a sample size of 0, So
yeah.
So, I mean, where do you want to start with this?
I think, first of all, like, I don't know if you can just give one definition, right, of strength, because you got to say, like, what do you do?
Yep.
If you're just a regular Joe, I just want to be strong. What does that mean? Does that mean you could do 10 dead hang pull-ups?
Yeah.
Does that mean you could Men's Health just put something out, or maybe it was T Nation, where they said, if you're a guy, these are all the things you should be able to do, right? Can you squat double your body weight? Can you bench press your body weight 10 times? And it's all fine and dandy, but it's you're in a weight class sport, and you also understand that it's a little different telling the 123-pound guy that you should be able to bench twice your body weight or bench your body weight 10 times versus the 300-pound guy, or the 250-pound fit guy. Like it's just I don't know. Those are tough, and I know we as strength coaches have always tried for years. Like, if a guy's flat benches, what should his incline be?
Mm-hmm.
How much, what kind of deficit should you have there? Or hang cleans versus cleans from the floor. Power cleans from the floor or power cleans from the hang. Like, what should that number be like? So I don't know if we could define it and do like a social media kind of definition and say strong is how you feel, or something. But I don't know. I think we think like, how do you demonstrate strength? Mm-hmm. Like, I can look at your videos and go, fuck, this guy's strong. But, at the same time, what about just a regular, what's the Ben Bruno's videos, right? With the kid from the sitcom.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane numbers, but we don't really know what those numbers mean.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know what that, like, you see that all the time, right? People go, oh, I just loaded the sled up with 580 pounds and grandma's pulling it, Like, you're like, well, there's friction. What's the
friction coefficient of your flooring right now? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we put like regular sleds on wet, real grass and tried to push them with no weight. And you're like, what's going on here? Like, they won't even move. So, there's a lot of variables, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables. And I don't know if it's even right to try to create standards and say, carries are all the rage, and so you should be able to carry this much or this much of your body weight, double your body weight.
Yeah, this was actually a selling point in a CrossFit. I was doing a seminar, and the guy was saying that they have a bunch of women, right? So they have a bunch of women in the gym, and he was talking to me about signing them up, and one of the things that he gets them really pumped for is he says, I can't even describe how you're going to feel when you put 100 pounds over your head for the first time or pick up 200 pounds from the floor, right? And when you start thinking about that is, on an average female, 30-something, 40-something, woman, that's strong, right? Like, and so...
Yeah, I mean, if somebody could do that, if a regular sized woman can push press or anything 100 pounds over, I think that's strong.
Yeah,
I mean,
or deadlift 200 pounds, right?
Else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really need anything else.
No, right? And so for a guy, there's probably something similar, right? But then there's the task, right? So I'm much more familiar with the task, right? So we have a high school shot putter, right? And he's like, what do I need to do to throw the shot 60 feet, right? Or 61 feet, I think is what he wants to throw. And that's really clear. I said, you need to be able to clean 300 pounds. You need to bench 300 pounds. You need to back squat 400 pounds. And Like, you will be strong enough to throw that. Obviously, your technique has to be that, but the implement is 12 pounds, right? You don't need to be stronger than that, you know?
Right.
That's probably overkill even, you know? So you see that also a lot in the high levels of shot put is like, what's too strong? I read where Adam Nelson, I think, or Adam Nelson or Andy Bloom, really great shot putters. Nelson through the mid 2000s and Andy Bloom are right around 2000. They were talking about how, they benched 550 pounds, right? And why do they need to bench? They don't need to bench 575. The time it would take them to get to 575 is not going to improve their throwing of a 16-pound ball, because the ball isn't getting heavier. They just got to do it better, So so there is like a peak level, and obviously 550 pounds might even be overkill.
Yeah, it's like that usable strength. We talked about that in football. We just get video bombed constantly back there with your people walking by looking.
They're going to the chiropractor's office, Dr. Kyle.
Oh, okay, yeah, nice.
He's great.
Where we say, it's like you said, why if I have a kid that can bench 400 pounds, like, do I need to really keep pushing to get more than that?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, it's just kind of like how much is usable of that, first of all, in that from that lift. If I have a kid that can clean 300, like, I mean, does he need to clean 400? No, I mean, we see that sometimes with football players, which I think is insane.
Yeah. Saquon Barkley, the kid from Penn State.
That's a freak. I mean, but a kid like that, like, I've talked to you about this before, when you say, like, how do you spot potential Olympic weightlifting talent? That's a guy right there, right? I mean, in high school, he was doing that with, like, 300 pounds, and he was like $150 or something.
Yeah.
So, I think sometimes, you'll find athletes like that do that. But at what point are you strong enough? You know what I mean? Because some athletes are super strong, and now it's time to apply that strength to their actual task, right?
Yeah. There was Jim Kielbaso mentioned this in his talk when he was at the Speed and Power Summit, was that a lot of the research is that, like, to be a great sprinter, you need to have a 2.0 times body weight back squat, right? You need to be able to squat 2.0 times body weight, and you are significantly faster if you do 2.0 than if you do 1.8, but if you do 2.2, you're not any faster than you are at 2.0, right? And so, the easiest, they don't know why, right? The easiest assumption isn't that you get slower because you squat more. It's just the amount of time it takes you to get to 2.2 would take away from training time that you could do in the application of force in your desired event, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's another thing is, like, what is the strength required to do the task does have, like, a threshold where it's like, hey, we don't need to go much more, right? When I got to a 600-pound squat in college, my strength coach said, I don't care if you ever squat 620, right? He's like, why don't you do 500 pounds fast, right? Or why don't you
now we have that ability to do that kind of stuff and check velocities and stuff like that now, which I think is cool, because now when you do have that, like, we were talking off before we started about, when you said you had the question about you have a bunch of football players, what do you want to see? And you said, a bunch of kids, a big chunk or big percentage of that team being able to clean 300 pounds, right? Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's great. I don't need a 375 kid, or I don't need my 300 you got to get to 325, like, right? It doesn't matter, but can we move that? Can we be more efficient with it? Can we pull it faster? Can we pull long?
Yeah, exactly.
Pull it, right? Like,
can I catch it higher? Can I?
Yeah, exactly. So now we have those means to be able to measure those things, whereas before it was all just kind of like, it looked faster, or this looked a certain way, or this squat looks slow. Now we can actually quantify that. So that's pretty cool, and I think that's probably. I don't think we're seeing that push anymore. I haven't seen that. Can't remember the last time I saw something about a college football kid benching 500.
Right.
You just don't see it. I'm sure they're still out there, but
it still gets gets in the news, locally, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Exactly. Or it's like seeing Harrison on the Steelers on Bleacher Report, doing his hip thrusts or whatever. Like, just it's something freaky sometimes when you see that, but or Barkley. You know, like that's kind of cool
Yeah.
to see that 400-pound clean shit. Like that's insanity.
Yeah.
And he's so fast. He's so fast. That's a crazy part. You know, he's a twitchy little son of a gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the dangerous part is that because everybody wants a standard, everybody wants a number, everybody wants, oh, there's my milestone, is that we have people making up milestones, like
Yeah.
making shit up. You know, like I think, you know, when you say you should be able to carry a certain amount for a certain amount of distance, I mean, there's variables there too. You know, Josh Henkin was talking about this where, you know, we feel totally okay. We don't feel okay loading somebody up on a squat, on a beginner up on squats, but we feel okay loading them up on a carry and
then making them walk.
and they're making them walk. And we say, well, everybody can walk. Yeah, but I'm like, yeah, but not everybody can walk with a shit ton of weight in their hands either. You know, like I've picked up really heavy stuff, right? Started to try to carry, and the walk doesn't look like a walk anymore. And you're kind of like, oh my God, what's happening? Especially if you're doing something on one side only, right? If you're just doing like a suitcase or something. It changes things. So, you know, I think we think that it's just this thing that can't be dangerous at all. It's look how simple it is. Everybody knows how to carry. Everybody knows how to pick something up. And everybody knows how to walk. So let's just go, Grandma. Let's go. You know, pick up those dumbbells and let's go.
Well, in a couple years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it was like you should be able to Turkish get up this, right? You know, like everybody can get up off the ground, right? And then it was like, and it's so. But then you saw people start overloading a Turkish get up, and what happens to everybody's shoulders, right? So
I get destroyed on that.
Yeah, right.
I got destroyed on a human get up.
Yeah.
But that was one of the standards. You know, you should be a Turkish get up half your body weight.
Yeah.
That's what one of the things was.
So I mean, I think that I would say that I kind of reject those standards. I know what you need to do in a specific sport to be at a certain level, right? Particularly if I know your starting point and all that kind of stuff. Like, we need to get to this to be able to do this. That makes sense to me, right? But it's really hard to prescribe every person should be able to do this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're talking with general population. If you say, like, if you have like a Division I football team or something, or volleyball, I get it. You're probably going to have some numbers that you can come up with over the years. Like, I'm sure I can go to, you know, Donnie Mabe at Texas and all his girls that he's training as volleyball, you know, girls for decades, is
all Americans probably can do this. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Like what, you know, vertical jump. What's your goal for, you know, your goal for your outside girls? Like, he'll say, well, you know, our record's this, but I think this is really good. Like, those are educated standards, kind of. They're not even standards. He's not holding them to those standards, right?
Yeah. They're averages, right?
Yeah. So when I was looking at that list and going down the list, and people were commenting, I think it was on Facebook, and they're like, oh, I could, you know, out of the 12, I can do 9 of them, and I can only do 3 of them. I suck, you know, like, and some of them are, you know, a lot of those are size dependent when you start to say, like, body weight stuff. Push-ups, you know, how many push-ups you can do, like pull-ups you can do, but then you start, how much percent of your body weight can you squat, deadlift, bench, you know. We talked about this before with the concept that you should be able to strict press your body weight.
Yeah.
Right. And then Uden did it, like Uden did it. Mike Uden did it with, like, but he was like weighing 180 or something at the time. Now he's over 200. I don't think he can do it anymore.
Right.
So that changes things. But, you know, what about push press or something? You know, I mean, it's a little more realistic. You can handle more weight, like set a standard for that maybe to be able to push press your body. Even then, gosh, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking of really strong women that I know. You know, I don't know if they could push press that. I don't know if they could push press their body weight, you know? Yeah. So the concept of the pressing thing gets me, you know, like when people say, oh, you should be able to press your own body weight. That's a lot of weight.
And the press can look so different from person to person, you know. Some people know how to do that naturally do that old school press, you know, bring their head back through. Where, you know, some people are like this, and you just can't lift that much that way, you know.
Yeah.
So,
well, you've seen those old vids and when that was the Olympic event, right? Where that press
Alexiev clean and press 500 pounds.
Yeah, and it's like they're they're like doing an incline.
Yeah, they like,
you know,
lean away from it and put their head through. Almost looks like that. It looks like the bent press, you know, like where.
Yeah, Yeah,
that
and
kind of thing.
that's another thing too, right? Stuff like bent press and windmills, and you're just putting yourself out there to, with, trying to Turkish get up your body weight and stuff. I mean, that's just, I don't know.
So you
There's a
would,
risk reward thing there.
I think we could confidently say that we kind of reject the idea of standards, right? You can have averages if you have enough information and enough years training where you can say, hey, my best athletes do this in this sport.
Yeah, it should be specific too. Like even for males and females with my groups, I'd say, by my women's soccer standards and my women's softball standards for vertical jump are going to be different, like, right? And sometimes, probably not so different in like cleans and maybe squats, but I do have size differences in those groups too with girls. So it's hard to say, but at least in those you can look back at numbers and you have testing records and stuff like that. Whereas on the internet you can just make shit up.
Yeah,
and you just say, oh, you should be able to carry your body weight this many feet, or and then nobody's ever specific at what we're carrying either.
yeah, like a kettlebell, axle handles, yeah,
too, right? Like what position are you holding it in? Are you I think a lot of those now, when you see these big numbers, is hex bars, right? People stand in the hex bar and they start walking around with that, which is different, which is totally pretty different than yokes and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so if we agree that, I would say we agree that standards are kind of silly, right? Particularly when we come to general pops.
Definitely with general pops, I think they are.
Then there's a ton of stuff, that floats around at any given time. This is the way to get strong, right? This is the way to get strong. So just starting at a base, right? And if you were to try to get someone just really, really strong, is it a linear periodization to start with, or is it would you stick with your alternating linear periodization? What do you? Are you, if the squat is the thing you want to get strong or whatever? Are you squatting a bunch of times a week? Is it a frequency type of thing? Well, something like that. Pose that question.
Yeah, I just think you just start basic, right? You start, all your movement patterns. I would probably just stick with the alternating linear, or it depends. If it's just, are you just talking like general pop?
Yeah, like somebody comes in and says, Coach Dose, I want you to train me, and I'm at 100 pound, or I'm at a 150 pound deadlift and or 150 pound clean, and I can do 150 pound bench and a 200 pound squat, and I want to be at 300, 300, and 400 or something like that. I've got some experience. How do I get stronger, right?
Yeah, I've had such great luck with the alternating linear stuff, and then just being smart about. We've never really gone crazy volume wise in our workouts. Like I say, like 20 sets in a session is probably pretty normal. So I don't think we need more than that. Like frequency, you could probably play with. I don't know like what they're able to take, but I don't know. It's easy to get. I think it's easy to get strong,
right?
Like it is. I think we overcomplicate things. So,
but
like,
it is just like it's time and consistency, right?
Yeah,
like it's time, like, it's consistency, and it's and honestly, the biggest thing that I found is like staying healthy, right? So you can't overdo one movement, right? Because like if you want to get your bench press up, you can't bench every day because you're going to destroy your shoulders, and then you're not going to be able to bench at all, and your progress is going to just quit, and go backwards.
No, for sure, and it's across the board, and it's over time, and you probably have the same thing. For your athletes that you've trained, or your clients that you've trained that have met their goals, they don't miss workouts, right? They don't miss workouts, and then they adhere to the stuff outside, whether it's recovery, whether it's nutrition and stuff like that. There's a discipline to it.
Yeah,
and if you're disciplined, it's easy to get strong.
And there's a fairy tale that is out there because of like Instagram. Instagram is like the root of all of our issues, right? Honestly, right? Social media, because there's this fairy tale that. Because you see these dudes who are like, PR, another PR, right? And they're like, I want to be strong. And this happens a lot in weightlifting, right? But people only post their PRs. They don't post their 5 sets of 3 at 80%, right? Then the other fairy tale is there are dudes who just go heavy every day, but they're on so many drugs you can't even, they're like a pharmacy inside,
Right.
and then they're like totally, natty proud, and it's like nope, not natty, right?
Yeah.
like
I've been seeing a lot lately where they're just juice sites, like these juice pages where the guys are just like, this is what I use, this
yeah,
is what I do, and I just got off of this, and I'm starting this, and look at this, I blew up my presses, and
yeah.
like there's no stigma there anymore.
There's one of our podcasts early on was with Derek Woodsky, and he was talking about that. Like, he had been an NFL strength coach, and he was like, in the NFL, it's pretty prevalent that guys are on on stuff, right? He's like, it's worth millions of dollars to be on stuff, so they're going to risk it, and the testing's not too hard. And he's like, but the crazy thing is, and he goes, that's probably been the case. Elite athletes have always been taking stuff, right? As long as there have been elite athletics, they've been taking something to get an edge. He's like, but the big one, this is 3 years ago that we recorded this one. He's like, I've never seen so many like recreational steroid users, right? Dudes who just like people, like not even just dudes, but people who just go to the gym to work out, and they're like, I want to work out better, so I'm going to take steroids to be recreationally good.
Their livelihood doesn't depend on it.
No.
It doesn't improve their job performance.
Literally doesn't do anything. And you can see those, and I say it's like Instagram, but some of them, they don't have social media accounts. They're not even posting, but they're just gassed up trying to, lift more for fun, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, that kind of flashes back to the 80s, when everything kind of started really blowing up, and everybody was taking Dianabol and Anavar, and and you'd have guys. The gym would be full of those guys, and you're like, "Hey, you play ball? No,
nope.
I just work out.
Yeah.
You're a bodybuilder? No. I just want to get huge, bro. Like, yeah. So it's an odd.
So we see that. We see those people like posting, and now that they do have platforms and stuff like that. I get average people who come in and say, I want to be strong as hell, and it's like, so then they get their program, and it's like, hey, we're working at, 7 RPE for, 5s or something, for sets of 5, and they're like, wait, I can do way more, and it's like, that's not, that's the point, right? I know,
right?
We gotta get better, we gotta, like, next week we gotta do an 8 RPE. And the next week, we got to back off a little. And the next week, we're going to go after a 9 RPE or 10, right?
Right.
And that's how we're going to do it. We're going to continually go heavier and then back off, and then heavier and back off, and eventually we will get stronger.
Yeah, for sure. I think we started. I don't know if we got anything done today.
No.
But but yeah, I think standards are kind of sketchy. I think you can have them with teams based on your experience and the numbers that you've seen in the past.
And you probably should, right? Because you want to be able to tell those athletes you're working with, like, hey, you're in the top 10%, right? Or if if you put this extra 20 pounds on your hang clean, you'll be in the top 10%. Only our All-Americans or all-conference kids have ever done that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's. And it's true. We've had All-American players that weren't in any of those ranges.
Yeah.
Like, they're just great players, and they bring something else to the table. So, from a performance standpoint, sometimes it's different. The guy was going to ask you, you had said, as far as a thrower or something, you should be able to, you want to throw 60 feet, you should be able to bench 300. I mean, it's probably not likely because it's a different type of person, a different type of a person that's going to be throwing that far. But, have there been 60-foot throwers that bench 200 pounds?
Oh, gosh. No, there's notorious, and I could be getting the names wrong, but there's, there's always talk, and they bring different things to the table. Like Randy Matson, I think was the first guy to ever throw 70 feet back in the 60s. With the 16, and was like a 70-foot high school thrower too. And, apparently as a 70-foot high school thrower, he had never lifted a weight, right? But he was 6'7", and, had the best technique ever, right?
Right.
heard like Michael Carter was relatively weak as compared to his size, right? But was just so athletic and probably could have done whatever he wanted to in the weight room. He was, such a monster. Yeah. So I mean, definitely there's guys who have done that, and so, but taking into account the kid, that I'm talking to, his athleticism currently, right? His and almost that marker that like, okay, if you get to these numbers, that actually shows me that you had this huge level of commitment between the time we talked about this and then, and that might almost be the thing that means that you are going to throw farther because you're actually trying really hard as opposed to something, right?
The effort, discipline, like goes back to the discipline, the effort, the actual, the honest, I always say like the honest effort, like honestly, are you really giving me this, right? Are you giving me everything right now? Like that's, and it's hard, for some athletes it's all the time, and for some athletes that's the coaching part, right? Like they're able to, what screw do I turn to get this kid to get to get to go harder? Yeah. So I think as far as that, I think right? If I walk into your gym and I see some girl, a general pop girl, and she's got a 60-pound sandbag and she's doing max lunges, I'm like, shit, that chick's strong. Yeah. Like I don't need to know anything else. I just know she's strong. Maybe she's really strong lower body or whatever, but or somebody, a girl's doing pull-ups. Yeah. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's going to be pretty strong in just about everything that she's going to grab in this place.
And if you want to do the standards thing, just have a record board of things you find important at your gym for the different types of populations, right? We don't have one at the current building, but we used to have one that would be like vertical jump, 12 to 14-year-olds, 14 to 18-year-olds, college, and then, to 35 and 35 and up, right? So we'd have vertical, bench press, all, 3-rep max, trap bar, deadlift 3-rep max. And it was like, okay, it would be the top 5 performers or something like that. So it's like, right. Then, have some standard, if you want to have that, right? But don't just set out random standards in your gym and say, this is what we got to do to be strong. No, like compare them to the other populations that and the people who are around and stuff like that. That's valuable.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And also there's other things, right? There's other types of aspects of strength, whether it's like putting it together in something powerful like a med ball scoop throw or a chest, pass or something. Like we've all seen that where you have kind of somebody that's a little more wiry and you're trying to catch their med ball from them. Like we were doing a shoot with Ashton Eaton for Nike, and I just stopped. I didn't want to catch it anymore. I knew there was a great chance I was going to jam a finger or something. Yeah. And he was just doing, kind of like, rotational chest pass stuff. And so we finally just put up this big foam pit because these little crew guys are like, I'll catch it. I'm like, get out of there.
Get out of the way.
You're gonna. It's like a cannonball. Yeah. So but a guy like that, long and long levers, and obviously puts everything together really well, is generating this force that somebody that could bench press 350 pounds couldn't do. Yeah. So there's that application of force and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it, but with general pop, I think it's easy to kind of spot, what somebody's weaknesses are and what they need to work on. And carries are good, but they're not the cure all. There has to be a comprehensive program, and they may be stronger at some things than other things, and that's what the programming is, right? I mean, that's kind of your job as a trainer and a coach. So, cool. I don't know. I feel like we danced around it, but we didn't. I mean, I don't know if there's an answer. Like I said, I don't think
right? And that's what we said, right? We said this would be a really hard one because I don't think that there's like an answer. And we could have come on here and said,
but as far as
we could have come on here and just said, this is how you get strong, right? And this is what people should do. But there's a lot of ways to do all of that, right?
Yeah, I think Chris Carlisle, who's at the Seahawks, strength coach at the Seahawks, used to be at SC. He used to come and speak at my clinic when he was down here, and he had a great thing, because somebody said, what about the bench press? You guys keep records on your bench press, and he's like, we keep records on everything, but he goes, in my career as a strength coach, I've had 2 500-pound benchers, and they both used to stand right next to me on the sidelines during games, so they were terrible, So we know that doesn't equate to that, right?
Yeah.
And we know, I mean, outside of Larry Allen, there's probably never been anybody that's a 600 or 700 pound bencher that could run like that and do the things that he did, right?
Dose.
Hey, buddy.
Well,
What's
you know
up?
what that
Hey.
means. We should probably wrap up.
We're gonna wrap up.
You want to see
Yeah,
Dose?
guest appearance. Hey, buddy. How are you? Ooh, I like your watch.
That's the potty watch.
Oh, the potty watch.
Yeah.
I need one of those.
Yeah, it reminds me to go potty. Oh, hold on.
What is that?
Yeah.
Is that a sword?
This is a foam sword. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Foam. Make sure
Yeah.
you're not giving your kids weapons.
Here, why don't you say hi, everybody?
Hi.
All right. So, Dose,
Hey.
let's wrap up. The potty watch is going off.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll wrap it. We'll hit the
We'll hit the questions next
time.
week. Dose, we'll see you, dude.
All right, buddy.
All right, bye.
See ya. Bye.